Alright guys, I know there's a couple videos out there for the Massey 165 PTO clutch replacement. For the ones that's never done this job, it's not as bad as you think it is. If you have a Massey 165, basically you need to pull the hood, the gas tank, and loosen up the instrument column. You'll have to undo all the bolts on the lower end and loosen up your steering column so that you can lift up the shifter box plate. Now remember, when you're taking this shifter box plate off, be very careful. There's a couple of springs in here. This is for the shifter link positions, what holds them in place. Little ball bearings down in there. Be very careful of those. If you have the multi-power and you have to replace the rear end, this is what you got to do. You got to take off the shift cover to get to this. Now I've got about an hour getting this prepped down. This is not as bad. This is recently refurbed, so all the bolts and stuff were fairly easy to get off, but roughly I have about an hour's worth of work here already. I got my wrench already on the multi-power line. For you guys that don't understand what multi-power is, it was a high and low that went on the dash here for downshifting, so you didn't have to stop the tractor, downshift, and go around a corner when you're plowing. It's a feature that Massey put it on their 165. But if you have to split the tractor to fix the PTO that's in the rear, you have to undo this hydraulic line right here. You cannot just split it in the rear end, or you'll end up tearing this line that's right here. It's a hydraulic line that runs through the front, runs up here to the bell housing, and it was like a two-stage torque converter that was in the front. You definitely have to undo this line so to be able to tear down the rear end. From there on, I'll post some more videos of the tear down, but basically you got to get the runner boards off, undo your brake lines, and some other miscellaneous clutch lines and stuff over there on the other end. I'm going to probably take my seat off and take the lift cover off, and you need to take this this cover off on the side, and I'm not 100% for sure yet, but this is my first build. I think there's a linkage or something in there that you got to undo to be able to take this lift cover off. I'll find out here shortly. But that's how you tear apart Massey 165 for the PTO. Again, there was several PTOs for the rear end. There was what they call a live PTO, which had two sets of clutches. Now, if you have a rear end PTO problem, there's not clutches in the back. There's two clutches in the front. This one didn't have it. It has clutch packs in the rear. And then also I had multi-power. So there's kind of 3 different setups on these Massey 165 units. You need to find out if you have this ship leader at the top and you have hydraulic lines that kind of feed down into the bell housing. You can probably see a better look on the other side, and you take your lift cover or shift cover off, you definitely have multi-power. Then you still have multi-power, plus you could have a 2-stage clutch. So you need to find out if you have. You have this is definitely it. Oh, and there was another thing too. If you determines if you have a live PTO or not. This knob, I have the red one. That means that this had a clutch pack in the rear. It was hydraulically driven, like a slave cylinder. The ones that have a black knob is the live PTO, which runs off the dual stage clutch in the front. That's what I've been told. So we'll find out as more as we tear into it. But this is how you tear into it. This part here looks worse off than it really is. Basically, it's all you got to do is just loosen up the bolts and your cover slides off. There's nothing special here about undoing any of these pins right here. The cover slides right off. It's really easy to get to. Once you get that off, undo this hydraulic line, which runs to your multi-power for the front. You cannot split the rear end without this. I know there's another guy online and his videos are awful dark, so I'm hoping everybody can see a little bit better what's going on, so everybody can kind of take a look. But this is my multi-power with rear clutch hydraulic clutch PTO for the rear. And I'll paste another video.